In this lesson, we'll spend a bit of time cleaning up our scene and getting the mech ready to be rigged. So you've created this really cool mech with Justin, and now it's time to start thinking about how it will move so it can be brought to life with animation. Really exciting stuff. So here's what we'll do. We'll just go ahead and spend a bit of time just checking our model, making sure it's nice and clean so that we can get right into working on his rig. So what do I mean by cleaning up the asset? Well, we should check to see if there are any values that exist on any of his pieces. We should also look for any nodes that we can clear out. So starting with frozen transformations. Once we have managed to finish the model and we know that this is the starting point, by freezing our transformations, we can always get back to this very spot. For example, if I were to grab, let's say, one of his arm pieces and then grab the move tool with the W key, we can then go ahead and move this over. And now if I ever want to get back to this position, it's just a matter of going to our translate channels or whatever we have moved here in the channel box, and we can go ahead and set our values to 0. For scale, of course, we'd set that to 1. So that's the beauty of freezing transforms. We can get back to home base by resetting our channels. So here's what I like to do. I first like to go to the Show menu and choose Show None to hide everything, and then I'll go ahead and show the objects I need to see at this point. So that's going to be NURB surfaces, and that's also polygons. From here, let's go ahead and highlight all of our geometry. And now we can go to Modify, Freeze Transformations. We'll go to our option box just to check our settings. So you can see I have rotation and scale unchecked, meaning that they would not be frozen once I click on either Apply or Freeze Transform. Apply simply leaves the property page open, and Freeze Transform is going to run the tool and then close out the property page. So what I'll do is just go ahead and check on rotation and scale. Another way we can do that is to go to Edit and choose Reset Settings. Fantastic. Alright, so I'll go ahead and now choose Freeze Transform. Wonderful. Now you might notice that there are some nodes that we can clear out. By the way, sometimes we might see warnings here or little errors at the bottom here on our command line inside of Maya. Sometimes they are super important, but other cases where they appear, well, they don't really do anything for us, as this case, where, I mean, there isn't really a cycle issue that we are running into on this rig because we haven't really created any systems that could cycle out. So I'll just go ahead and kind of deselect, and that will clear out that warning. But again, there are some cases where you have to be really careful about that, and feel free to take a look at courses like Introduction to Character Rigging, Introduction to Rigging, as well as pushing your character rigs beyond the basics to learn a little bit more about that. Alright, sweet. So now that we've done this, again, we have some nodes that we have to clear out. Take a look at our shoulders. You can see we have a few nodes here, right? Now, it's best to clear out nodes that don't do anything for us at a certain point. So these nodes might have served a purpose, but now they do not because the model is finished. So here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and highlight all of our pieces again, and let's go ahead and choose Edit, Delete by Type, History to clear all of that out. And that's just going to go ahead and take all of that information we saw on those objects. It's going to bake it into the object, so to speak. So now we're just left with the object and no history. Fantastic. We'll create our own history once we start to rig our character, history that we absolutely need. Fantastic. So the model is now clean. Let's say we do this. We'll go ahead and create a display layer for it. I really enjoy working with these display layers because this is a great way to show or hide our objects quickly. We could also use display layers to disable selection and enable selection. So watch this. Let's go ahead and grab all of our pieces. We'll head over to our channel box. We can get to our display tab. Now let's go ahead and create a new layer with our selected objects using this last icon. Fantastic. So watch. When we click on the first port, you can see that that is how we can show or hide objects. The next port allows us to either template or reference our model. Referencing is cool because we can still see the textured model, but we cannot select it at all. So when we're ready to animate, this is what we want animators to use, because by doing so, they'll only grab the controls and nothing more. Nice. And then, take a look. If we were to go ahead and double click on the layer, we could actually go in and recolor it if we'd like. And that's what this next port is for. So I'll go ahead and work with blue, and I'll show you how that works. Let's also rename the layer. We'll call it mech_layer. Nice. So if we had a set in here, we can now go ahead and use the color coding system of a layer to say, all right, this is the model, and then here is the set. So watch, if I were to now press the 4 key, as long as we're not in reference mode, you'll see that we're able to see our wireframe. If we're in template mode, again, we cannot see it because in template mode, notice you cannot select anything. So template mode kind of helps us figure out that, hey, right now our mesh is not selectable. Same thing goes for reference mode. You can see how the wireframe turns black, but in select mode, yes, we can see the wireframe that we've chosen for this layer. Super helpful. All right, sweet. So I'll go ahead and press the 6 key so we can now take a look at our model again in texture mode, and that's going to be it for this lesson. So let's say we get into building control objects starting in the next lesson. We'll go ahead and work on a control for the robot's center of mass.